Charli3 is an oracle that is building on the Cardano ecosystem, and they've had quite a good 2023 so far with lots of developments, a protocol, liquid finance integrating in their product, as well as all these other upgrades to their protocol themselves to make it faster and cheaper for other projects to use in the future. So I'm pretty excited to have Damon join me on this episode to talk about what has happened so far this year and some of their future upgrades and updates, their V3 of their protocol, which brings in all sorts of new security and new opportunities for potential node operators in their ecosystem as well. So pretty excited about this one. Love what C3 or Charli3 have been doing. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
So Damon, it's awesome to have you back on the podcast, and we're going to get a little bit of an update around Charli3, see what has been happening. I know a lot has been happening. You keep on feeding me all this information, and I'm finding it hard to keep up.
About.
More, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start back a little bit because
Sure.
I was getting this information about the integration and the first platform to integrate in fully the Oracle. And that was liquid finance. And this was a couple of months ago already. So this is old news, but I haven't really covered it that deeply. Can we talk about that and the significance of it?
Yeah, for sure. So as you said, liquid finance was our first customer, I'll say, Oracle integrator. And it happened to be big news. We didn't pay for any kind of marketing around it. It's bear market. We're trying to be frugal. And we counted 15 external articles that we had just found by Google searching about people that were excited about it. Now, this shows that it's a big deal to people that actually kind of know what DeFi is and the need for oracles and kind of how big of a deal it is. To think of the difficulty of what we've built and are still continuing to build is look at the rest of the ecosystem, and there's a zillion different NFT platforms, and there's like 6 dexes now and multiples and multiples of everything else, and there's one oracle that most of these other platforms will need to use or should be using for security at some point. So Liquid being that first project to actually say, okay, we're going to increase our security by using an oracle instead of a centralized feed that could go down at any point or whatever. Is kind of a big indicator to others that we're trusted source, like a trusted project, as well as to other people outside the ecosystem that Cardano DeFi is starting to mature.
It's a really good stamp of approval on the project as well when such a large project like Liquid Finance does the integration, does all the work to have you guys on board as well. So it's a big props up to you guys.
Yeah. So we're doing the for their market, the Shen to USD, I think. Yeah, Shen USD feed currently. We were going to do the ADA USD feed, but we're just working on a couple other things there. They wanted to keep their own going for now, but they want to launch like 5 or 6 new markets as soon as we get our V3 up, which we can talk about later.
Yeah. So on that, you guys have also recently upgraded the protocol. So you've been, I think back in October, you're on V1, but now you've upgraded the smart contracts and whatnot to V2. So what is all of those updates?
Yeah, so the V2 update, which we did for the Valentine's hard fork, I don't actually know the name of it. I just call it the Valentine's hard fork in February, was mainly implementing a lot of the Bazel hard fork features. So the reference scripts and inline datums. So those were the 2 big ones that we needed to do. We already had the reference inputs, but we needed to be able to manage those other things. We're also increasing a little bit of just the security in the node network, as well as managing response times and automated filler bots for topping up different nodes and stuff, like doing the payouts to the node operators. We were doing it manually before, which was a pain because if they were running low or whatever, then it was like, oh crap, we have to get it now, or else they kind of shut down, which is the mechanism we have built in. But now it's all automated. So we're just kind of improving quality of life and operations. And then when we got that done, we onboarded Liquid. But past that, we are now working to a version 3 update to increase the security of the node networks, to make sure that they're not, hackable or whatever, if that would even happen. So.
Okay. So with these upgrades, with the Vassal hard fork improvements with the inline datums and whatnot, does that make the protocol generally overall faster as well for you guys?
Yeah, faster and cheaper, I would say. It lowers the memory usage needed, especially with reference scripts. Lowers the memory big time for doing all of the on-chain transactions. It allows us to bypass a couple of other transactions that we had that were on-chain, which again makes it cheaper because now we're not having to pay for those network transactions from different wallets. I guess kind of similar to like what Wi-Fi, I guess, just brought out, where you don't have to do multiple transactions to get your stake done. It's just a single button push. So we were able to kind of streamline certain areas because of reference scripts and with the inline datums as well. So that's obviously good because cheaper product means more customers, more adoptability for sure.
Yeah. Now, the other thing you mentioned there was around the nodes. So you're upgrading all the security for in V3, and this will make all the nodes more secure. Are you guys opening up those nodes to the community to run?
So that's the purpose of the V3 upgrade for sure.
I thought so.
It's always been the plan to have that. Currently with our first like cohort, I guess they're all like trusted people. There's only 5. We can't be giving out their identities for people to go and hack them and manipulate the feeds, especially to people like Liquid. So we're upgrading that security so we don't have to handhold. It can be far more automated and, more openly decentralized, I'll say, like it already is, but because those people aren't known, it's like a little bit contentious. So the upgrade is just to make sure that once we hand it off to people fully, that and we're not hand holding them anymore, is that there's a lot more security protocols in place to stop any kind of attacks that might happen on those node networks, or to make sure that an individual node can't then go in and select their own price to report to try and screw up the thing. Like we already have mechanisms in that to where their price wouldn't be used if it's outside of the average norm, but again, redundancy protocols. If somebody somehow got around that, they can't actually report that bad price anymore. It would also be implementing the slashing mechanisms that we would have for reputation on the nodes, because currently we don't have that running because we're just working with trusted people currently. So that's what we're doing for the V3 upgrade, to make sure that we have all of that in place to be able to give it out to people like you to apply to run the nodes.
Yep. Is there any more information about how to run a node, or information about that in general, or how much it will cost?
Currently,
do we have to stake?
Currently there's not. As far as the stake for this slashing mechanism to put in your put in your stake. Yeah, you got some money in your pocket, in our pocket, I guess, to make sure that you are a trusted actor, that you're not going to screw it up on purpose, skin in the game, I guess is what you call it.
Yeah.
When we're talking about that, we don't know how much we want to set the bar at, because say we set it now and our price is whatever it is, I think it's like 16.5 cents. And then by the time we actually get around to taking it, it's gone way up, and now that number of C3 is not acceptable to ask of people anymore. So we'll probably open it up like as we're doing the node operations and just say it's going to be this price. Projects that got away with doing something easier, like say World Mobile with their nodes, they did it like it was a set amount before launch, so it was the same for everybody. Now it's different with the NFTs, but the initial set was like that. But ours, because we're already launched, it's going to be difficult. So we're more so waiting until then. The first idea is to have something like 100,000 C3 Now, these are not real numbers set out there yet, you know, but this is kind of the idea, is if we do something like that, the long-term idea would be to have something like each node would need like a 1% of the total supply locked up, and people could delegate towards it. So just like your pool, you would want people to come and delegate towards your node. You would, if you didn't have the full 1%, you'd need at least 20 or 30% as the operator. You would get 20 or 30% of the rewards, but then the rewards could be shared to all delegators as well. So it makes it more inclusive to a community. But that's like a big staking mechanism for the far future. Like, it took Chainlink 5.5 years to open up something like that.
All right. Really interesting. And just as a comparison, the world mobile NFTs are trading like 60 or 70,000 ADA.
Yeah. 65,000 ADA yesterday for the cheapest one. It's like, what the hell?
65,000, yeah. So if you want to be a world mobile node operator, that's how much you have to invest. So it's a hefty bar for some people.
It's about $25,000 US currently for that.
Yep. Roughly around there.
It's a bit much. Like, that's how much they were to begin with, but you got to keep your tokens at the same time. You weren't spending the money to get it. You just got them anyway. But yeah, I lost my node, so that's okay.
All right, another time. The last thing I want to talk about is the bridge update. So you guys had the tokens still over on the ERC20 side of things, and people still trying to get things over. Like, what's the situation, and what's the update with that?
Yeah, so just a quick background on it really is that back in August last year, we used for 5 months prior to August, we had a bridge open through a company called Nomad, and people were transferring over, but then their systems got hacked, and Nomad was still holding on to all the ERC20 tokens that were being transferred over to Cardano. So then those got flooded back onto the market. So the problem with us, we can't just use any bridge or just do airdrops or something, because we don't know who has the right tokens, not the ones that were meant to be destroyed. So we have to have a whitelisting priority situation of a chain snapshot. We've had the bridge in our development timeline, you know, for a long time, but we were initially planning to do it after a couple of other products that we wanted to bring out, the on-demand validation and VRF, which is randomness. But because it's kind of like, it's cast this horrible shadow over the project now, and every post I make or we make is just when bridge, or you know, we would trust you more if there was a bridge, or you hate us because there's no bridge, and you know, you're holding our tokens hostage, all this, even though none of it was our fault. It's just really annoying, and we don't like having to deal with it. We don't like that the community is disgruntled from it. We don't like the energy we have to spend socially to manage it. So we bumped it up ahead in our timeline of priority to be the next thing we work on. After this V3 update, instead of doing the other two products first, we are going to do the bridge, make sure that that's manageable. And we might do it in separate chunks, you know, but we'll start it off and start writing that issue that's been happening. So I don't know. I think that's exciting, because I don't like having to use a lot of energy on the people that are always screaming at us about it, because it should be fixed. It absolutely should be.
Yeah. It was a really annoying situation that a lot of projects, not just yourself, had to face from those various hacks. It wasn't just Nomad; it was all sorts of different bridges that were hacked last year. And if you were in any of those different ecosystems.
Yeah, Solana got hacked like 4 times in 2 months. Like, just the Wormhole Bridge got hacked too. There was a couple, 20-something million that was lost there. So yeah, it was a big hit. I'll give you our last updates, because you said that was your last question for us. Now, this is the first time I think I've mentioned it, but we have to make sure that this V3 is correct, and obviously it's a security thing, so we want people to we want people to feel safe about it as much as possible and be able to review that code as much as possible. So things that we might have missed. So we've brought on 2 different labs, like development companies, to help us out. So we have started working with M Labs. I think we were one of the main projects in the ecosystem that hadn't yet. So now we're working with M Labs. We've got a couple people from them and another one called MetaLamp. And the devs that we got from them are quite good. They're good in Haskell and Python, which are the 2 main languages that we deal with. So for the on-chain and off-chain node validation stuff. So having all of these people really experienced in these areas is really exciting for us to be able to get this network up faster as more and more projects come and talk to us. There's, I think, 3 or 4 different projects currently waiting for launch, but we're not integrating them until we get the V3 up. So it's good though, because we weren't sure if there would be anybody, and now it's just making everything faster.
Great. You got people knocking on your door waiting for the product. So that's awesome. What's the timeline looking like for V3? Like it sounds like you got a lot of people working on it. And do you have to do another security audit on it as well?
We would like to do an audit. Our only issue with audits is how expensive they are currently.
Yeah.
And it's bear market. We didn't have a big raise. We don't have a ton of money. So do we wait until a bull market where we can sell off tokens to get enough to then do an audit and wait for the audit and then onboard customers and delay everything? Or do we have the code review seal of approval from 2 or 3 different dev shops plus ourselves and other projects that use us to say it's trusted, and then we'll get an audit later? That's kind of the road that we're going down for sure right now. Yeah. And we're happy about it. But I would say that V3 isn't too far away. I mean, we had some good meetings today with the whole team, and we're feeling like, I'm actually pushing this out a little bit. I'm feeling like about a month. So I think that's more of a realistic date, instead of saying like, oh, it's going to be done in 2 weeks. Like we kind of said so today in our team meetings. It's like, so a month makes more sense, or like a month and a half, which really lines up with a lot of these other customers that are wanting to integrate. The other integration type of thing that we're planning to do right now is make our free feeds into APIs. So the ADA USD feed into an API so the DEXs can use it, because or the NFT platforms or people like ViFi, because they don't actually integrate with the chain directly. So they can't use the feed that we currently have. But if we make it into an API, we can. And most of them take their ADA price from like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, which is a third-party reporting system that always has outages and always reports things badly. So if you take ours, it should be a hell of a lot more stable and has 5 different sources it takes from directly from the exchanges. It's a lot more secure and more updated for sure. So we're excited to bring out those things for more widespread use of the platform.
Well, it's a super exciting time for Charli3, and with all these updates and potential clients coming on board, it's going to be a good 2023 for you guys.
I mean, we hope so. Yeah. If it's not a good 2023, it's going to be a horrible bull market for 24.
No, let's not hope for that. But everything's looking good so far.
Yeah, we're putting everything into it. I've stopped taking a salary currently, just to make sure that everything we have goes into the business.
Okay. Damn these bear markets.
It's all good.
All right, Damon.
Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome having you on again as well. Good catching up.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. So make sure you check out their website, their white paper, and everything else around their ecosystem. Their token is traded live on all of the different DEXs in the Cardano ecosystem, so you can get your hands on it if you want, and you will need some of those tokens if you want to be a node operator in their ecosystem as well. Now, if you really enjoyed this episode, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click on that notification bell, and you'll hear more great Cardano related content from me real soon. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.